probably when I was about 9 or 10. I just used to say that I'm Maddie from the Woodlands, because that's what I felt. The Woodlands for me were my home. I had memories going back for when I was a lot younger, 2, 3 years old, of the Woodlands where I came from.
It was always really fascinated me, the woods there. I used to have dreams about it, and all sorts of weird dreams. Nice dreams, but also weird dreams as well. I used to find myself lost in the woods, but I never used to be scared. And it used to be the track between the summer house and the Nell Gwyn statue. And I used to find myself running either up or down it when I was a child. Almost if I was playing a game of hide and seek.
So it would be me and my dog would hang out in the woods, and once again I'd feel part of the landscape, and I would hang out there for hours and hours in my own little adventures and bring picnics for me and my dog, and I suppose once again it was kind of my friend. It was my nurturing friend. That's something I could be a part of.
This photograph is a picture of me, sort of 18 months old, going on 2 years, where the connection between me and nature was incredibly strong. I didn't realise there was a name for it, what I felt. I knew I had all this stuff inside me, or I couldn't put a name to it, but I knew that it had to be something more than just, it was so much part of me, part of my personality. I always had a feeling there was more to it than that. But I had no idea that other people felt the same or the same connection. I certainly never realised there was a whole way of life or a religion. I had no idea. But I spent a lot of years searching and exploring what it was that I felt within me, my connection to nature.
Just close your eyes and breathe in the power and the spirit of the ancestors and this ridgeway of Coombe Hill at this summer tide, and breathe out our connection as beings in the moment. I'd like to take the opportunity, perhaps the first time it goes round, that we sip to the deity of your belief, and the second time it goes round we spill a bit on the earth and we call out to the deity of your choice.
I don't believe or follow a specific deity or anything like that. I think I see it more as just like an earth energy sort of thing in that sense, really, that sort of permeates us and the nature that surrounds us. When the mead goes around, a lot of people say who they're honouring and that sort of thing. I tend to just pour it on the floor and just take a moment within myself. But yeah, I guess it's the earth energy that I'm honouring at that time. I suppose the way I describe it is a bit like the Force in Star Wars. I guess that's how I look at it.
It's a place of specialness. Being outdoors in nature, if you like, is the true temple of what we're revering, nature, and putting it into a building doesn't seem real when it's all out there. So by going into a woodland away from, if you like, the concrete jungle, you get that sense of deep peace and the sense of the biodiversity of all the spirits with the trees, the plants, the animals, birds, yeah, the elements. Okay, we now move to our first sacrifice of nature spirits. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring my bird seed, but Leah,
I donated my lunch.
you rescued it with your nut lunch, and I know the birds will love this.
They're expensive ones, organic.
Greater the sacrifice, the greater the benefit. If you could take just 1 or 2 nuts, please.
I became very, very sick with chronic fatigue syndrome after I left university back in, I think it's 2004, 2005. I became housebound, so I had to move back here with my mother, who still helps look after me now. And my world very much closed down, and I had these 4 walls and the garden, which at the time I didn't have much of an interest in, being kind of in my early 20s. And I began to notice different things about kind of the garden, about the type of flowers we had when the first frost came, the type of birds who were arriving and when they were arriving in our garden, just little things, because your world closes down so much that you concentrate on the smaller things in life. And I spent a lot of time outside at that time, so I'd sit and watch Mum do the gardening, and I'd kind of ask what the flowers were, and then I became interested in birds, and we put out a few bird feeders just to attract more birds. And it's become very much a way of life, kind of helping and appreciating wildlife. We put things out for hedgehogs, and now I've got my rabbits, and they're, they take up quite a lot of my time, so I spend a lot of time with them. And that kind of links in very much with my interest in Druidry, because I've always loved the outside. I've loved, when I was well, I loved walking in the countryside, but it never kind of entered my head that it could be anything more to that other than just enjoying the view and feeling happier when I was outside.
In particular, we're honouring Chiltona at this ceremony, the spirit guardian of the Chilterns.
Chiltona, red kite at her shoulder, weaving through the treetops, carrying the wind. Chiltona, eel through her fingers, flowing at the source of natural running springs. Chiltona, stag calling through the woodlands, echoing the songs of our animal kin. Chiltona, leafy hair sweeping over chalk, rock and earth, arrows of our clan. Chiltona, crowned with fire, wisdom of the Arwen shining in her eyes. Chiltona, lady of our grove, goddess guardian of these sacred hills.
I've always been a bit alternative, a bit of a weirdo, I suppose. But we first discovered Druidry when we were looking to get married. We decided we didn't obviously want a Christian wedding, and we wanted something that was a little more special than just going to a hotel or something like that. So then we started looking at other options, and that's where we came across hand fastings. So we were looking up who in the area is able to perform that sort of thing, and that's when we came across Paul, the Druid of the Chiltern Nemerton Grove. And then we went along to that ceremony at Imbolc just to meet him and discover what it's all about. I've always been into getting out in nature and, not honouring but appreciating the world and what's around us and that sort of thing.
It's something that was given to me at one of our ceremonies, and it's sage. It's called sage stone. My mistletoe candle. In honour of Anna Enrod. And also to warmth for all the seasons of the year. So I put it central in the middle. I got involved with it because a friend of mine that I work with as a teacher was telling me about what she was doing at the weekend, and she said, I have a little pagan druid clan, and I was completely ignorant and didn't know anything about this, but she started to enlighten me about what goes on, you know. Oh, come along, she said, you know, whatever's so informal, you know, it's just, we honour the seasons and the nature, and we look to the end. I thought, this sounds very interesting. I went to my first meeting with the clan 2 years ago. It was a summer solstice in Tring, around the beech trees. It was a cold day actually for summer, but it was very, very enlightening and very moving and very nice. And there weren't many of us there, but I became interested, and I carried on going to further ceremonies after that.
As a young child, I was actually in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, and I was at the edge of the desert, and that was my playground, at the edge of the desert. And that's really what I did, and I felt part of the landscape, etc. And that was, you know, I truly felt that. And then when I moved to England, once again I used to hang out in the woods all the time. But in those days it was cowboys and Indians on their telly, and I wanted to be an Indian. That's what it was all about, just really feeling a part of that landscape and wanting to be wild and free and live off the earth, and it was that kind of thing for me.
Love of yours eternal, as dusk was slowly closing in, your wandering love had befallen him. How can I return alone, bearing boughs of crestfallen blossom? If I should leave my flowers at dawn, I would surely leave my tears, and no home may carry your sheep.
Ah, here we are. This is the cricket pitch. Now, this is where the lane runs along. So I'm stood on the balcony here, and that is the lane. And it was about this point here I used to see much more woodland. So in my mind's eye, I'd come out of the front door, I'd run all the way up here as a little girl, run up that lane to the woodland's edge. In my mind's eye, when I closed my eyes, I would follow the path all the way up there till I got to the woodland's edge, and there was this sty, this old stile, you know, and that's when I knew that I had to stop. I knew that I couldn't cross there, but I used to just listen and look, and I could hear beautiful music like panpipes and flutes playing, and to me that was my home. And I could bring it to my mind every time I closed my eyes. And when I was very small, I used to, like at bedtime, I used to lie there and I used to take myself back there in my mind. I used to look for it, and I remember being so confused because when we got to the point where I could see it in the distance, it wasn't there. The woodland just wasn't there when we got to that physical point. And I remember saying to my dad and my grandma, I was saying, well, where is it? Where isn't there a woodland here? And they said, no, there isn't. But I knew there was because I could see it. I could see it, and it was my home, and it really felt like my home.
Sacrifice, libation or offering, I suppose there's an outer and an inner part to it. The outer part, if you like, is making something like an incense, and you burn that as an offering. But the inner one, which is more important, is like the altar from the heart. And that is where we open ourselves to another. It could be opening ourselves to a woodland. It could be to, another human being, an animal. It could be anything, any phenomena. and we open ourselves to that in relationship, if you like. And when we do that, we're sacrificing our own sense of, if you like, ego. And in that we also make offering, because we're seeking some kind of harmony. And of course in nature, harmony is something that you're always chasing but never always quite get, because the moment you get stability, it's gone, and things move, everything's impermanent. But the fact that we're always seeking that peace, that relationship, is what we're about, I suppose, on one level.
Rebirth, birth, death, rebirth, birth, death, rebirth. Ancestors flowing within me, ancestors flowing within me, ancestors flowing within me, ancestors flowing within me. Earth echoing memories, earth echoing memories, floating through time, floating through time. Birth, death, rebirth.
I just have this spiritual feeling inside me, and it has come out through going to the clan, through my love of nature, and really, you know, that I really want to protect the earth the best I can and to love it. And I found a lot of other things within this clan that I've been looking for a long time. It doesn't demand anything of you. I take from it what I want, from my spiritual needs through this clan, rather than having it forced upon me. And nobody turns around and says, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, this person is wrong, that person is wrong. I've seen a lot of hypocrisy. I still go into a Catholic church because I still feel a lot for the Holy Family. I still love Jesus, and I still believe in him as a prophet. I still love the Virgin Mary, his mother. I still feel that when I go in a Catholic church, yes, I do like to pray to them. But I've been very disillusioned and upset by a lot of things, which has put me off a lot.
Catch the eye, the sun is, be carried away on the light breeze. The sun and tree, but hearing yet scattered, awaken and folding, let your spirit be free. Star adored by earth and clouds and rain, goddess of light. Put on your cloak, let daisies and dewdrops, treading barefoot through the soft grass. Run with the hand, sing like a sparrow, paint this new dawn.
I kind of got to meet one of the Grove members, who was a previous university friend of mine, who was into Druidry and part of the Grove. I went along and I talked to Paul a bit about it, and I suddenly kind of realised that so many areas of my life kind of came together in Druidry. My creative side, my interest in nature, in animal care, in being out, feeling happier and more close to anything I'd associate with God when I'm outside, rather than being confined within a church or what have you. And it all kind of made sense. Oh, look, there's cows! I've never seen them here before. I didn't know they had cows here. I know it's common though, but I didn't know
there
it
was
was
a
cows.
sign down one of the gates.
Really?
Yeah, that there was cows grazing.
We did chase the people away, yeah.
9 Arwins.
up every week, or every, you know, well, not every week, but every ritual, and no one's excluded. It's very inclusive, and I think the core members make sure that that is always inclusive, and you know, and there's some lovely friendships within the Grove as well that have developed, and you know, everyone's very close together. Children play together, people have parties together, the way it should be, really. Not just when we go to rituals. It's you know, it's more than that. It's a community. It's a clan. There's no pressure to go if you don't want to, and if you do, there's no pressure within those to perform.
I love them all. They're such lovely people. They really are. They never judge you, and they never, you know, whichever path you want to, that you've gone down, they're not going to question you if you want to go into a Catholic church or a mosque or anywhere else. But this is what I love about it. There's no hypocrisy. Just caring about the world and nature and looking after our planet.
You look like a lady who would know.
Yeah, I'm good at rain dances, actually.
Oh, no, I think she should be at the
Well, you succeeded well.
People bring their children along, and we just have a laugh, really, and celebrate the seasons together.
Cold night, frozen light, darkness is waning, light is waxing. Cold night, frozen light, darkness is waning, light is waxing. As the snowdrops unfold here, fire of Bridget never dies. Guide us through the darkness, hold the hope through this time. Cold night, frozen light, darkness is waning, light is waxing. Cold night, frozen light, darkness is waning, light is waxing. We put promise in Bridget to sustain us through the frost, coldness of the winter. Into the light we must grow.
Music, poetry, storytelling is one of the main ways that we communicate what the spirituality is about. We revere nature through singing, through poetry, connecting our sort of soul-to-soul level connection, but also in libation. But when we're honouring something, we honour what they are, their experience and their relationship to us, and vice versa. So it has a deep religious, spiritual, as well as creative aspects. And part of my role as a druid is to enable other people to really explore that creativity within themselves.
I don't really kind of work with words, even though I actually originally trained as a classical singer, so you think that would be something I'd be very good at, but you know, for me it's much more about the instrumental, about the music, taken away from the words and what you can do with that.
I've always had a real love for nature, and for years I wanted to be a park ranger. It was like my, a job that I really wanted to do at one point, and so it's always been there. But I think because I'm musical, I sort of went a different path. So I used to be a very active sort of chorister in the church choir, so which I love church music. I love music. I didn't necessarily. I tried to connect with the whole Christian thing, and I went to youth groups and youth clubs, but it never really answered my questions. I felt like no one ever felt what I felt. I found myself very isolated when they talked about Christian faith. I never quite understood what they were going on about being faith, because it didn't seem like they were connected at all, and I thought faith was about connection. I joined a folk rock band, and I burst in a folk rock band. It was quite funny to start with, but that's when I met my husband, and I started seeing the other side of what music could be. Instead of reading music and get everything perfectly right, then it became sort of more free-flowing, and I was able to improvise. I did a bit of improvisation, but I never really connected, and I felt like I was empowered to be able to do that. Ancestors flowing within me, ancestors flowing within me, echoing memories.
One of my things I enjoy, I tend to always be the one leading the drumming and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's another thing I enjoy about it. I like to get the drumming going and other people joining in with that.
Welcome to Widmore Woods. Samhain is basically the festival of the dead, so we honour the ancestors. And the reason for this, because it's pretty much when things get dark, so it's linked with the Celtic New Year, so the veils are thinned out, and that's of course the time when people begin to connect with the other world, connect with the ancestors, people who are passed over, and that's why we got Samhain. Of course today now it's called Halloween, and a lot of what people know as Halloween is an American invention, where they process all their goblins and demons and things like that, which of course has nothing to do with Samhain. So all around here, you got from this side here going all the way round here is the industrial estate, which is near where Buncefield was, where you had that big explosion. And from this side is all residential all across here. So literally this is a tiny pocket of woodland smack in the middle of suburbia, absolutely. And I guess that's why it's so important. Places like this become a sanctuary to the local people. It's quite a strange place when it gets dusk, in a sense that people always got that feeling that they're being watched.
When we speak about death, death of a loved one, etc., then I do say to them that they do return to the mother to be reborn as a baby. It was my late husband who died 12 years ago, and I did him a green burial. I contacted Life Right at the time because I didn't. Nowadays I think it'd be within the community if there was ever a bereavement, but in those days we didn't have much of a community. So yeah, and we did a green burial. He had a cardboard coffin and a tree planted. And I got a lady who was a pagan facilitator of ceremonies, and she did it for us. And I thought I wanted a lady because I thought, well, you're born into the world by a lady. I felt that you should be given a passage out of the world by a lady. But my girls love it, especially Sophia. She loves it when we light fires. It's her best, or light candles or anything with fire, I think. Yeah, I think we need ritual just to realise what indeed's going on. For our psyche to take that in, we need something, and I think innately as human beings we need ritual. Yeah.
Honouring your presence, our voices we raise. Following your footsteps, we now give you praise. Dark veil lifting, ancestors drifting, come into our light of our fire burning bright. Welcoming the new year and leaving now the old. Walking in your shadows as the new year unfolds. Dark veil lifting, ancestors drifting, come into the light of a fire burning bright. I mean, my own father, I think, he died on D-Day, I think, because strangely enough, I came into this world 9 months after D-Day, which seems to me that probably he died like many of our men fell in the war from different countries. And he died then, and I think he may have been an Air Forceman. He may have been an American Italian, I don't know. I've got certain links with people that have said things, but not a lot. I mean, my birth mother is no longer with us, so I can't, and the links I've found to my mother, the people that knew her or cannot really, she never spoke of me in any shape or form as being that she'd had me. I mean, I could trace part of my mother's family, a little of it, my birth mother, but there's nothing on my father's side. I feel sad sometimes about that, and I just feel that I can actually connect with him through the ceremonies.
So now we are in the time of Samhain, the feast of the ancestors, where the veil becomes thin between the spirit world, the other world, and the apparent world that we are in.
When you drum, you're going deep into your subconscious, really. And I think it's also, something to do with, well, it's about being you, really. Whatever's inside of you, that's what you're looking for.
Drum the way you want to drum. Let the ancestors speak through the drum and the rattles, the bells. Kari, allow yourself to breathe in the spirits, the ancestors of this place, and breathe out your connection to them. Open the altar of your heart as the intention is made clear that we ask the wisdom, knowledge, inspiration of the ancestors. We ask them to communicate to us how we can best live in harmony as a pagan community of this time. What wisdom can they give us from their time? very stars in the sky. And there in the tree you find an opening. Allow yourself to move into that opening. In that opening you call to your ancestor guardians, your spirit guides, the deities of your belief. Beneath you there are many roots that spiral deep into the earth. With your guides, choose which route to the ancestors of this place and descend. And as a clan, let us run for 10-15 minutes connecting to the ancestors. The ancestors that flow in this land, flow within our blood. Ancestors known and unknown.
Gonna sing again.
We swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand. Marco's spirits hear us now, confirming this our sacred vow. So may it be.
So may it be.
Did you enjoy the ceremony? Yeah, very much so.
Oh, thank you. I've got something to write it, but then it took me ages to practice. So I'm so out of practice, it's like it's wrong. So. Oh, thank you.
No, it's alright, it's alright. We're going in a minute. I'm going to put the fire out.